Welcome to Adjusting to Six Figures. Two best friends that turn their lives around, professionally and personally. So if you're looking to change, we tell it like it is, with no bullshit. Shut up with the excuses and make something of your life. Let's do this. This is Adjusting to Six Figures. And here are your hosts, Jeremy Reddick and Chris Stanley.
Welcome to the newest episode of the Adjusting to Six Figures podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Reddick, joined here by my best friend, Chris Stanley. What's happening, Chris?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hey, everybody, I really just mean you.
Yeah, right. As always, you know, this episode is brought to you by Adjust University. Check out adjustuniversity.com to become a better independent insurance adjuster or to discover independent insurance adjusting. It's what we do. And that's kind of the base of what we're going to be talking about today. Chris, it looks like you're in a hospital. So this is a different type of episode now, but it was only a matter of time before this happened. Who would have thought that it would have been as quick as episode number 4?
Right? Very quick.
It looks like you're in a hospital behind you.
Yes. I am in a hospital right now because I am out in Chicago saving people's lives. Okay. And that's what you do when you're an adjuster on a deployment. You save people's lives.
I don't know about all of that.
I'm at a Wood Springs Suites, which is a weird hotel because it's very clean. It's very nice. It's brand new.
Okay.
This hotel, it's brand new. But it's very plain, very like bare bones. Like I was telling you before, there's a full kitchen here, which is fantastic, but they don't supply silverware, dishware.
That's right.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, they don't supply anything. So yeah, no, this is a hospital, but I'm a doctor. I'm here to save people's lives. No, I'm on deployment. And it's weird that we're talking about it right now because right now, as we're recording this, Elsa is flying up the coast, about to make contact and, damage and destroy Florida and the rest of the East Coast. But I'm in Chicago again. I'm back in Chicago.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, so you're out in Chicago. So that's the crazy thing about this business. I mean, you're out in Chicago, and while you're out there, now you're out in Chicago because Chicago had storms, maybe not storms that are getting the, publicity that Tropical Storm Elsa is getting right now, but you're there nonetheless. And then on the outskirts, on the horizon, you've got Elsa that's going up the coastline. So then are you worried about going at, like, what does that mean for you since you make your money on the road? I mean, are you expecting now the possibility to go out somewhere else and be out for months on end? I mean, what's that do for your stress levels?
Oh man. So like it's, I don't even know how to answer that because it's kind of insane, right? Like I was out here, like, let me like backtrack a little bit. I was out here in Chicago for 3 months straight. I had gotten back to home, which is Los Angeles for me, like 3 weeks ago. And the stress levels, man, like going on these deployments, like first off, the company that I'm here with, that I'm pretty much just doing all the work for, I feel pretty lucky to be working with them because they take care of the adjuster in regards to work wise. And by work wise, I mean like we're given all of the opportunities and help that we could have. Like we have like eagle views. We have desk adjusters that like don't bust your ass about like small little details that you might have missed.
Right.
Which we can get into later. But right now, or at least for the company, pretty good company to work for. If you're willing to do a lot of volume of claims, which is what I'm willing to do. But Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for some type of news or a heads up because I might end up going out to Florida for Elsa. And for stress levels, yeah, that raises them, man. that
Yeah.
raises stress levels. I have no idea what's gonna happen. I have no idea on like where I'm gonna go, when I'm gonna go, if I'm gonna go, if there's gonna be any type of like, hit. Like while I'm working this and I'm out on the road in Chicago, working out in the field for 8 to 10 hours a day, then coming back and having to schedule claims, submit claims, answer emails, answer phone calls, yada yada yada. I'm getting other emails from companies saying, "Hey, get ready. We're gonna send you out. We're going to Florida." But you don't really rely on that until you get claims in your inbox. You're not leaving anywhere.
Right.
Man, I manage my stress level. Like the reason that I'm in a the reason I'm in a suite, and I owe this type of logic to you, is I try to make everything as normal, like I'm home, as possible.
Right. Yeah.
I have my set schedule of like I wake up in the morning, I do a workout, I make breakfast here, I pack my own food, and then like I have constant contact with my girlfriend and my friends. Like
Right.
while I'm working.
Right.
That always doesn't happen in the way I want it to, but you gotta have some type
Right.
of like consistency and schedule.
I've been talking about that a lot lately, and I always refer, and I hate that there's probably people that hear me talking about this that really aren't into sports that much, and I'm not really that much either. But I always refer to like deployments as like a championship, the Super Bowl or a championship game. Like that's the big one. A lot of people in our business kind of have this opposite way of thought in that they want to, if they're only working during catastrophe events, which is the big money events, right? Everybody only wants to make the big money. So they only work the big money events and that's all they focus on. And they think that, all right, well, I'll just wait to break into the business by waiting for this big storm. And then when that big storm happens, I'm just going to make a bunch of money. And it's, and that's kind of the narrow thinking behind it. But I always look at it like a big cat deployment, a big storm, whether it's a Elsa, who, I think whoever the next storm is, that's your championship. That's when, if you really want to succeed in that storm, that is when you start to employ all the tools that you've picked up and all the skills that you've learned over time. And if you're new, it's just, whatever you manage to learn in that time, whether it's classes, whatever. But that's when you employ, because that's when you have the greatest opportunity to exploit the money that comes along with that storm. So it's like a championship game. And if and everything before that, I look at it as like a regular season game. It's not that they don't count. They certainly count, but you look at it as that regular season game is almost like a practice game to the big game. The big game is when it really matters. That's when you really it's make or break. That's when you got to put your money in. That's when you really push forward. You want to make those big numbers because the volume is there. The volume is there and the damage is there. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And two things I want to point out on what you just said. Number one, back in 2017, when you and I did Irma in Florida, right? To give everybody like kind of like a background, during Irma, that was a huge storm, and Jeremy over here invited me out to go work the storm. And at first, I had only gone out there just in the hopes of like helping people write their photo reports because because I had like I was working as an adjuster for about a year before that, year and a half, but I had like low confidence. When I got there, I realized pretty quickly that I knew I was like third in the knowledge department out of like 10 people,
There's like 15 really.
Yeah.
In the house.
And I was like number 3.
Which, by the way, just to give context to anybody listening. So Irma happened and we put together in the Central Florida, we put together a big house. We kind of made like the real world of claims adjusting. We rented a big vacation house with like 8 bedrooms or something like that, massive vacation home. It was like $15,000 or something like that for the month, something ridiculous. And we packed everybody in there with varying levels of experience, but mostly new people. It was just doing claims all day with all these animals in there. And Chris was there, getting back to what Chris is saying. Chris was in there. He came by. He wasn't, I think the idea was you didn't have a license at first. So you were just trying to find a way to be some sort of service provider to the people that were already in there, right?
Just picking up the scraps, baby. Happy to be working.
So you get the opportunity to come by, right? You're not expecting to get your own claims. You're just, I think you were working at a weed farm at that time?
Yeah, I was working on a weed farm at the time, and I had left the weed farm because it got violent and dangerous.
This is a real true story.
Yeah, no, this isn't bullshit. It got violent and dangerous. There was a guy there who was, I mean, it's a weed farm, right? And it's like run by these Ukrainians. And the guy's out of his fucking...
Let's camp there for a second. Let's camp there for a second. Let's talk about the weed farm.
This episode already off the rails, and I'm all right with it. I'm down.
All right, so yeah, what's the context here? Like weed farm, so like a big facility, and you had a manager. Like, what's the deal there?
Let me backtrack just a little bit on the weed farm. So this was when, and I think I had touched on this in like the episode that was all about me. I left adjusting, like I left New Jersey. I left adjusting, to go out to California. And while I was getting prepared to go out to California, someone that I knew had offered me the shot to work at a weed farm. And at the time, I was a big pothead, man, stoner, bro. So I jumped that opportunity. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm going to work on a weed farm. This is great. And they were like, you make a bunch of money, yada, yada. That was all bullshit. So when I get there, it's like a camp, it's like a camp and
outdoors. You're outdoors,
fully outdoors. I was told that there was going to be like a camper for me. And like, I'd be living in like an RV with air conditioning. That was bullshit. I was given a tent. And I was sleeping next to cows. Yeah. And it was bad, man. Like it was run by like a family from Ukraine who apparently owed the money to like the Russian mob. I don't know how true that is, but it was just like imagine the scene in Forrest Gump when Forrest Gump gets into Vietnam. And there's just fucking craziness going on. And he's talking to Lieutenant Dan. That was kind of what I was in, except I was not talking to anyone who had any type of like
rationality.
Yeah, no rationality. I didn't trust these people from day one. But like everyone who is someone there, and it wasn't a lot of people who were someone or ran shit. But there was a dude with a gun, and it was very weird and awkward.
What do you mean a dude with a gun? Like he just had a gun in his...
Had a gun on his hip, man. Just had a fucking, I don't know, it was a handgun. I don't know shit about guns. I don't know what they look like.
All right.
Like what model or whatever.
Just to keep everybody... Yeah, like what was the point of... I mean, you're out in camp, I guess, in case somebody tried to steal the plants.
Well, apparently people had tried to steal a bunch of shit, and they had so the way the weed farm was broken up was that like when you got there, you had like the main camp area, which just had like a couple like storage units that were like just filled with already like trimmed weed, ready to roll and like get, sent out to wherever. And then you had like a main RV area where we took showers once a week.
Oh, wow. But you were only allowed once a week?
Yeah. No, you were allowed once a week. Because they didn't have enough water. And apparently, funny enough, so this is in California, right? This is in like Northern California in Hayfork, I believe it was. And now at this time, it's like 4 years ago, weed had been technically legal in California for a minute. It was already legal in Colorado, but only on the state level. Federally, they could still bust you. Now, apparently, the cops there didn't give a shit whatsoever in regards to selling weed. But what they would bust you on and you would go to jail for is stealing water.
California, baby.
Yeah, stealing water. That was one of the things they told us. Like, water was like rationed out pretty much. Like, I had brought like, a huge thing of Costco sized water bottles,
Right.
That I had in my car. And like, that's what you would do. You go down and like, by the way, we were on a mountain, like we're on a mountain, and like the closest town was like a 25-minute drive down a hill. That's where like we would go like, every other day. That was another thing. You couldn't leave the farm a lot because they didn't want to have a lot of traffic. So like every other day, every 2 days, you'd go down to the town square. And, it was like 2 gas stations, a coffee shop, a grocery store, and like a hardware store that just sold supplies for growing weed. That was it. That's all they had. Oh, and a video store. You could rent movies if you wanted.
You could rent movies.
You could rent movies in 2017. So that was the setup. And then like, you got back up the hill, and it wasn't fun. It was it was really bad. All I did every day was I sat in a chair and I trimmed weed. And let me tell you, I suck at trimming weed.
All those years of experience just didn't work out.
Terrible.
What were the other people there? I mean, like, what was the environment like? I mean, was it like an immigrant worker situation, migrant worker?
Half and half.
Is this legal? That's what I'm confused about.
No, none of this is legal. It's not legal. So, and I'm still kind of fuzzy on like the legality of the whole thing and like how this works, but it's kind of like, it's definitely illegal on the federal level, right? Federal level is 100% illegal. What we're doing is like not legal whatsoever. The state level is like, you can have weed, you can get weed, but you can't sell weed and you can't cultivate it past a certain point. And we were way past that point. Like there was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds all over the place, like as bad as like the environment was. If you're a pothead, think of every weird imaginative like dream you've had about smoking weed. That's what we were able to do. Like, every like Seth Rogen type of fucking like, thing, like huge fucking blunts, big, like all that shit. Like we were able to like do. So that was pretty cool.
This doesn't sound like a bad gig. I'll be honest with you. I mean, hanging out, camping with your buds, smoking weed.
The first few days, I would say the first like 10 days, when I first got there, it was like shocking, right? It was like kind of like a culture. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's a dude with a gun. Like there's like half like people who barely speak English. And the other half are like weird hippies that are just homeless who are like looking for work, right? And like that's like the environment of the place. But everyone I worked with was pretty nice, like everyone I worked with, like, who was like trimming with me or like in the fields, pretty nice people, right? So the first 10 days weren't that bad. It wasn't terrible. I had no cell reception. I had no way to get a hold of anybody. It was kind of awkward. And I didn't really know anyone there. And the person that I knew straight up lied to me. So there was a big resentment building the whole time.
And in what way?
Well, they had told me all this stuff about like where I'd be sleeping, how I'd be living, like the facilities, and it was complete bullshit.
The bait and switch.
Complete bullshit. But I'm there, and I have no money because I was like, what I was like, like the money that I was told that I would be making, I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking make like $20,000 in a week doing this. This is gonna be great.
I mean, sign me up. Yeah. What did they tell you?
They told me I'd be making $25 an hour, right? Plus every pound that I trimmed, I would get $200 for, right? Now I had never trimmed before, so I had no idea what that was like.
Yeah, how much you could do, and can you get a pound a day?
No idea, but they told me like, oh, dude, trimming is so easy. You could go through like 2 or 3 pounds a day. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. Found out no, you can't. Even now, number one, let me tell you, if you're an experienced trimmer, you're lucky to get through a pound a day. It also wasn't $200. It was $75. So I was trimming. Oh, and there was no hourly rate.
Just straight pounds?
Straight pounds. And I was lucky if I was hitting a half a pound a day.
So that would be like $37.50 a day.
$37.50 a day.
Oh, you could suck it for that. That's terrible.
But by the time I got to the weed farm, I had no money, nothing. I was dead broke because I had spent all my money on the way there, and I was like, I'm going to make all this shit. I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing.
So you had to do the $37.50 a day?
Yeah. And, hey, sometimes I got up to 55, maybe 60, but I never hit over a pound, right? Never hit over a pound. I never hit a pound, I don't think.
Wow. What did other people think of that? I mean, was this just you that got bait and switched, or like?
No. I was not. Well, I actually don't know if I was the only one who got straight up bait and switched. The way it looked and what I found out, there was a cafe that we went to every other day. I found out that the farm I was on was pretty much known for lowballing and fucking people over. And the people who they would get, they call them trimmigrants. Trimmigrants, yeah. It's just hippies or people who don't have citizenship here. And they show up because they heard about the weed rush in California, and they would come down, pick them up, and then bring them up to the farm. And then it's like, well, guess what? You're here, and this is what we're going to pay you. Take it or leave it. Have fun walking back down the hill.
Right.
And that was that. And yeah, I mean, they would feed you. They'd feed you weird Ukrainian food. I had pickle soup for the first time in my life.
Not familiar with pickle soup. How's that? Not good?
Pickle soup, not good. Didn't like. Not good. Not good. It's pretty disgusting.
All right. So there you are. You're up on the mountain, 25-minute drive up with the Ukrainian, the Ukrainian mob, and, fully loaded, living in a tent. You thought you'd be making, if it was a couple pounds a day, $200, $400, $600 per day in pounds. Then your hourly
plus
rate,
the hourly rate,
plus the hourly rate, another two right there. So pushing $1,000 a day, 7 days a week, $7,000 a week, smoking weed, living the goddamn dream, high on the hog in your, Hollywood trailer. But there you are in a tent on $40 a day straight, and so things didn't work out, huh?
Yeah, no, things did not work out.
Tell me that, how did it deteriorate? How did you, because you were there, how long were you there for?
I was there for just I think 2 days under a month.
Okay, so almost a month, basically. So that's not, a short amount of time, really. You spent some time there. Most people don't even get to go on a vacation for a month. So, but you were there for a month camping out, which is tough in and of itself. I'm assuming that there was a certain amount of convincing you did to yourself to stay that long. When did the, when was the last straw? When did the camel's back get broke?
So the guy who was running the camp he's a weird guy. You know him too. He was a weird guy.
That's the guy I met the one year.
Yeah, that's the guy you met the 1 year, which I got to say, that 1 year, have you ever met someone and have you ever met someone again? I'm going to start off. Have you ever met someone, then you meet them again, and they are a completely different person than what you experienced that first time? They are 180 completely different. Because when we met this person at the 1 year at the music festival, they were pretty cordial. They were a nice guy, pretty nice, pretty cool, down to earth. It seemed funny, personable, charismatic, very I like that guy a lot. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. I'm going to hang out with this dude and smoke weed all day and fucking grow shit.
So just for context, so everybody knows. So it just so happens that handful of years, maybe even 10 years, I don't know, before any of this happened, Chris and I were at a music festival, and this guy was there who was the boyfriend of someone who we mutually knew. And that was it. As far as I go, he was there. I met the guy. We over the course of like 3 days, 4 days, we had a couple beers together and talked a little bit. But no, you're absolutely right. From the surface, regular dude.
Yep.
It's a fairly okay guy.
Surface level, regular guy. Yeah. So I got invited out there by the girlfriend of this dude, who like the person that we know mutually. I get out there, and now I also should set the picture of this. At the time, I weigh 500 pounds, right? Like I am a 500-pound dude. I show up to this weed farm, and the first thing this guy says, there's a chock full of great stories with this guy, but the first thing the guy says, doesn't say hello to me, doesn't say, "Oh, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in years." He looks me up and down and says, "I think I have to reinforce the toilet." And I'm like, "Oh,
wow.
yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess that's what we're going to do." And he says this in front of like a lot of people, right? There's like 12 fucking people trimming. There's the person that we know mutually. There's his parents.
His parents?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a mother, father, son who run the camp, right?
Okay.
Now he's like the spoiled rich kid, like, and I don't know if they're actually rich. They have a lot of money coming in and out, but I can't imagine that a lot of that money they're keeping because apparently, whatever, like they owe money to the mob. I don't fucking know, but like he's like the kid who's like, he's got everything. Like imagine like AJ Soprano, if AJ Soprano lived in the middle of nowhere, on a farm, like, he has like his own trailer, like, a mile down the road from everybody, and he's got guns and he's able to eat more food than everyone. He's, on the farm, he's the king. The second he gets off the farm, he's nothing.
Right.
But anyway, so it's slow. Like my first day there, I remember I was sitting there and I'm trimming, and like I'm new at this. I don't know shit. I was very open about that too. I was like, guys, I've never done this before, And he's going around. Now, he must have been on meth or something. He was on some drugs, right? Like he was on some type of like upper type of drug because he was very erratic. He was yelling and screaming at everyone. He would go up to your like little bin where you had your buds, and he would like pick it up, and he would like talk down to you like you were a fucking idiot, like to every single person. It was very like, that was the first day, and I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
Right.
Like, what is this? And like, I don't really deal well with authority. I'm a pretty like, standoffish guy with that.
Yeah.
But the guy is a gun. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, well, I guess I got to eat this shit. And he's like that to everybody. And there was always like, every day someone else would get into an argument with this guy. And like, there was always like the having to be very careful on how you talk to him because he's fucking crazy and you don't know what he's going to do. But he would like push people to the limit on like one woman just up and left the farm. A couple people like yelled and screamed, yada, yada, yada. And this kind of like gets into like where it like deteriorated. I think it was like, it was my final day. It was like my last day completely there. It wasn't even planned. I'd woken up. It was like a regular day or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm trimming, and there was a guy from Atlanta who ran a farm that was next to ours. I forgot the guy's name. Really nice dude. He would come by all the time, like, ask, like, either like give us his weed or we'd give him our weed. Nice dude.
Okay.
But the guy who, was running our farm, who was insane, said some very mean and racist stuff. And it was like, I guess there was an issue over money. I don't know, but they get into a fist fight. Like they just get in like a straight up brawl, like a straight up fist fight brawl. It ends with them like rolling down a hill and like it getting like kind of like broken up and shit. And the guy who was on the other farm, he starts like yelling, screaming like, "Fuck you. I'm coming back here. I'm gonna fucking kill you." All this bullshit. Right. And then he leaves.
That's got to be a little bit frightening though, because you're out in the woods and you're someone, the same guy who you're being a bit timid to because of the situation of you being out there, him being erratic, but he's got a gun. Technically, the whole thing you're doing is illegal. So there's that little fear that dude could shoot me, and even like, and then what? You just where's the nearest hospital? That's a long walk away after getting shot. And hopefully you even get there. Then you got this other guy who may be cool, but that guy is willing enough to say, I'm going to kill you, to this erratic armed guy in the middle of the fucking woods.
Well, it changes completely, right? It changes the whole the whole atmosphere completely, because then the dude who was running our farm comes out with a fucking M16. Like he goes to his trailer, gets an M16, and at that point, that's when I was like, nope, I'm done. So I was like, this is it. And I went up to the person who invited me out. I was like, hey, I'm out of here. I was like, I'm done. This is bullshit.
This is not a $40 a day job.
Yeah, I started screaming. I actually, and I'm kind of proud of myself on this point, I convinced 4 other people to leave too, that were like trimming with me. Like, I was like, yo, we need to get the fuck out of here. So, it was absolutely going to be an issue. I convinced 4 other people to leave with me, and not even leave with me, just get the fuck out of there. Or I think it was like 5 or 6. All the people that I had been trimming. Now, okay, so at this point, on this very day, 7 new people from Mexico showed up, right? 7 new
migrants, yeah.
Yeah, they showed up that day, right? And now at that point, there's like, I think 13 of us. Everyone else who I had been working with throughout this whole time, they left with me. They were like, yeah, this is done. Like, we're not doing this. We're not dealing with like the threat of murder plus this guy having a fucking machine gun. This is out.
Yeah.
No way this is happening.
Sort of an easy sell right there.
Yeah. So I got paid out half in cash and then half in weed.
By choice? Was that your choice?
No, they didn't have any money. They didn't have any money. They were broke. And they were like, look, I can give you this and this. And I was like, I don't care. Give me my shit.
Right.
I'm out of here, you know? And then that was kind of the last straw, you know? It was a shitty experience. It wasn't good at all. Everything was pretty fucking bad. I would never do that again. I would never suggest anyone going to do it. Leaving the weed farm, I felt like Jesse Pinkman at the end of Breaking Bad when he's like just driving and like laughing maniacally because he almost died. It's kind of how I felt. I was like, this is insane. What the fuck?
That's not a good person to feel like at the end of your time employed somewhere. You want to avoid that. That's what they don't teach you in school, is how to avoid becoming a Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, I had become a Jesse Pinkman. I wasn't shaved. My hair was, it was fucking terrible. I can't even, anyway.
Yes. All right. So timeline. So at that point, now you're getting paid out. Did you have a place to live?
No.
No place to live.
I had no place to live. I had nowhere to go. I had, my end goal was to get to Los Angeles. That's where I was trying to like go to like live and, you know, chase my dream. Didn't get to Los Angeles yet. I had gone straight to the weed farm. So I get to the, you know, I leave the weed farm and I don't know what the fuck to do. I just head to Los Angeles because I'm like, well, that was my goal. I guess I'll just go. I'm 8 hours away. I'm in the state. Might as well head there and see what the fuck happens. And by see what the fuck happens, just meaning like, I had no plan.
So like the Irma deal is going on. So like, how did that line up? I don't even remember.
So I'm leaving. I leave the weed farm. I hit you up and I'm like, hey buddy, I need an out here. I need some help. I don't know what to do. My life is in shambles. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I had gotten it, like, it was like 2 days after I left the weed farm. I got down to LA. I had an Airbnb for a week. I was sleeping on the couch. I had like pounds of weed on me. And
how much did they pay you, by the way? What did you walk away with?
I ended up getting $1,200 in cash plus a pound of weed. But the pound of weed ended up being like, I think it was like, because I got it at like, you know, at what's the word? Like
Wholesale.
There you go. I got it wholesale, like whatever, like it was that they like, made it for, like at cost or whatever. And so that was only like $100 or $200. So I had that. So I had a pound of weed, which I couldn't sell because I'm in California, and I got $1,200. And that was it. That's all I had. I had no job. I had nothing. I didn't know what to do. And the Airbnb was like, kind of like ending because I got it for a week. And you had told me to come out to Florida and just like see what would happen. And I was like, fuck it. Like, at least I could do photo reports and maybe like, what do I got going on here?
Right. Yeah. After doing $40 a day.
Yeah.
At least be near money,
Might as well roll the dice and just see what the fuck happens. And drove out, almost got arrested at the border. That was a whole other story in itself, which we can either talk about or like bypass and talk
with
about
the
later.
weed.
Yeah.
Did you have the pound of weed?
I had half of it. On me, and quick story. I had half of it on me because I was thinking like, oh, I can sell this somewhere, right? Like, because I'm going to Florida. It's not legal there, so I'm thinking might as well sell some of this shit and make some money. Because again, at this point, I don't think I'm going to make any money on claims. Like I don't even have it in my mind that I'm going to get one claim to myself because I know in Florida you got to be licensed. I don't have a license, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to go out there and maybe help someone with their photos, or like I know how to work Xactimate, so maybe I can like help people write their reports. Like I can utilize some services and some experience I got. But I'm not going to be running claims. I'm not getting on. I'm not doing anything, But I have some weed, and I know people are fucking drug addicts, so maybe I could fucking sell some stuff. Anyway, I'm driving. I see a huge toll booth, and I realize that toll booth is the U.S.-Mexico border. And the second, now I just got off a weed farm, right? I got a half a pound of weed in my bag. In the back. I had just transferred it from the cooler that I had with the food that I was carrying into my backpack. And I didn't hide it. I just threw it in there because I didn't have enough room for my sandwiches. So I threw the weed into the bag, zipped up the bag. That's in the back, right? I'm pulling up and dogs are jumping on top of my car. Like dogs, like just drug dogs, are jumping all over my car. And I'm like, all right, this isn't good. I get to the checkpoint, and the officer's really nice. He's like, hey, what's up, man? Where are you headed? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to Florida. I'm going to Florida for that big storm. I'm an insurance adjuster. And he goes, he's like, oh, okay, that's cool, man. And, he takes my ID, looks at it, gives me the ID back. And he's like, hey, man, just got to ask, like, when was the last time you smoked weed? He's like, because, it smells really strong. Now, what I could have said was, oh, I just got back from a weed farm in California where technically it's legal on the state level. I was in a weed farm, and I've been growing and like trimming weed. That's why I smell like weed. And the end of the conversation would have been like, oh, okay, well, have fun. Go on your merry way. Instead, I looked this guy in the eye and I say, oh, I've never smoked weed. And he goes, oh, okay, right.
Pull over that way. Yeah.
And I'm like, so I pull over, and then I get taken out of the car. They take my ID, and they're like, buddy, just tell us where it is. Now at this point, you got to imagine that the officers are looking at me, 500-pound dude with a car that just reeks of weed, a bunch of luggage. I look dirty, I don't look great. And I just lied to him like, hey, yeah, I don't smoke weed. So they're like, look, just tell us where it is, or like you're going to go to jail. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never smoked weed before. And like they're getting upset. Like they're getting visibly pissed off. They're like, all right, we're going to bring the dogs in. So the dogs go in. They jump into the front seat. They jump into the back seat, and they open up the cooler, and one of the dogs eats a leftover chimichanga that I saved. Like legit, the dog, like I watch him just grab it and like start eating it. So they take the dog out, and I found out later that like, and I don't know how true this is. This is just what I'm told, but I can tell you it actually happened in front of me. They took that dog away because apparently if a dog eats something or like gets any food on their snout, or they can't do their job. So they have to bring in another dog. Like they took that dog away. They bring in another dog. Other dog comes in. He also eats the chimichanga, like the rest of it that was on the floor of my car.
Is this the secret to drug trafficking right here? Chimichangas.
I was laughing. I was like, this is actually pretty funny, but I'm also petrified, right? Like I'm scared. I'm like, this is it. I'm done. You know, all the years of avoiding jail and like narrowly escaping it, I'm fucked now.
Yeah.
The dogs go into the back where the bag of weed is, right, in my luggage. And then they jump into the front and they start rummaging through my glove box, right? And then the one cop comes up to me and he takes me by the hand and he was like, "Found your weed." And I go, "No, you didn't." And he's like, "Yeah, we." And I'm like, "I don't have any weed in my glove box," which I would hope that if you're an officer, you would hear that and go, "Oh, you have weed somewhere else." But that guy didn't hear that.
Yeah.
He looks at me like I'm fucking stupid and he drags me by the hand over to my car. Someone at the weed farm had left a 1/4 ounce or whatever amount bag of shake in my glove box. And now that's why my car smelled like weed so much. And I just didn't know. I had no idea. Like while I'm driving, right? And by the way, this was at Texas, right? So I got to LA to Texas and my car just reeks of weed. And I'm wondering, I'm like, fuck, man, this weed's really strong. But I had like the weed, like the big pound of weed or a half pound at that time. I had it like wrapped up, you know, like I had it vacuum sealed, but nothing was killing the smell. And I didn't understand. That's why. So while they're ripping apart my car, right, they knocked out this 1/4 ounce, which if you don't, it's not that much weed. This 1/4 ounce bag of shake, it goes all over my carpet of like my car, right? Like the floor carpeting. And the cop goes, "I'm not picking that shit up. Get the fuck out of here."
Oh my gosh.
And start throwing everything back in my car because they didn't like they didn't take apart the luggage that had the weed in, but they took apart the cooler. They took apart like my carry-on bags that I had in the front seat. They took apart everything else, but like they found the weed, and I guess they thought, all right, this guy just has a 1/4 ounce. Like he's like he doesn't want to, you know,
small time,
like we're not gonna fucking like we're not dealing with this too much paperwork. Whereas like if they had taken about 5 more minutes to just look in the fucking luggage, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, but that's scary. That is definitely a scary situation to find yourself in. And as you're trying to hold your cards close and, oh man, all things said and done, you lost a 1/4 of weed and a chimichanga. So now you're back on en route.
By the way, shout out to Fred for telling me, and Fred, we're going to have on the podcast one day. Shout out to Fred for giving me the heads up on going to that place in Arizona to go to the chimichanga spot.
He saved your life right there. Got the first dog out.
Shout out to Fred. Anyway, so I get past that. I get to Florida. I get to the adjuster house and I apply for an emergency license, right? Which now I've taken care of it since then. I had a lot of legal troubles back in Jersey and not anything crazy. It was just stuff that I let like kind of grow inside my own head of like, I'm never gonna be able to take care of this, yada, yada, yada. But I didn't think I was going to get an emergency license. I applied for one. And at this point I was writing or like doing photo reports for one of the guys in the house. And, you know, we had like a little deal set up, triple the money that I was making on the farm, but nothing good, nothing crazy.
Right.
And I was just kind of there, you know, and then I got the emergency license and then I applied to 2 companies and I started getting work immediately. Like just straight up, like inbox was fucking slammed with just work. Now, I want to bring it back, kind of like go full circle with this episode to what you said in the beginning about the championship game and being ready and like knowing your shit. Right now, out here in Chicago, I just got hit with a huge drop of claims yesterday, all because the adjusters who had these claims didn't even know what to do in Xactimate to get them rolling. Like it was a bunch of new dudes who I guess had your mindset, which you talked about at the beginning of this podcast, which is head out to the big storm, get work, and fucking, make money, right? And yet they've never played a scrimmage, I guess, because they didn't know the basics of just getting the work started, right? And because of that, they got stripped of their claims and I got them, right? And that's what happened here. Now, I don't know if that's what happened in the case of Irma. I think in the case of Irma, it was just there was so much work. They were like, we need bodies. I don't care. But I will say that because I knew how to do the basics, the bare minimum of getting a claim started, I could have stayed in Florida for fucking years, just working. I stayed there for 3 or 4 months. And I'll tell you, man, I definitely, I don't know sports, so this is probably an old reference, but I definitely Brett Favre'd the amount of like money and success that I had. That's me trying to say I did well in Florida.
Yeah.
I did good. And yeah, that was my first deployment, and that was my only deployment for a while. Once I hit that, I just left and I didn't do claims for another like 2 years.
You had all that Irma money you're finally sitting on, for a while. We talked about that.
Which went away pretty quick. went away. went away due to bad habits.
We sat there, me and some of the other guys in there. We wondered how you were faring. How much money did you make? Because you were jumping all over the state. We couldn't help but think, like, how much money does this guy have that he's been sent? Because you were mostly unemployed, not working at all for like the first year after you left, right?
Correct. The first year I didn't work a single day.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I made a lot of money too during that trip, but I got expenses and stuff like that. It was very short-lived.
Oh yeah. No, and I got expenses pretty quick, man. I got an apartment in Hollywood. I had a furious drug habit. And all I did was just party every day. Every day was a party time, dude. And let me tell you, if you're in LA and you're in Hollywood, you could find the parties very easy. Very easy. Yeah, no, I made a good amount of money.
Take me through this. So that was your first deployment. What was that? If you were talking to somebody that had never, maybe they're looking at Elsa and they're thinking like this might be the one for them, or one of these future storms, or maybe it's a listener right now, thinking about checking out this adjusting thing and, because there's always going to be a certain level of romanticism involved with cat adjusting, traveling around doing the big storms and all that. What would you, thinking back on just Irma, right? Since that was your first time really being away from home in a work setting, and although it was unique, how would you explain that to somebody, that experience, to somebody that's never experienced it before? What was it like for you to be so far out of your realm, fish out of water? You don't know what to expect. What was like your day-to-day mentality over there?
I think it's a little bit difficult for me to go into that, like what was being the fish out of the water, out of my realm. I had just gotten off a dangerous, violent weed farm. Being at the adjuster house, running claims and having this idea that I was going to, once I started getting claims, having this idea about I was going to make a bunch of money was I think what I needed to not fucking go crazy. That shit saved me, I would say, being in that realm of there was a schedule involved, right? I had to make a schedule. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of stress in that house for sure. But the contrast of being on a illegal weed farm run by the Ukrainian mafia versus being with 10 or 12, corny fucking dudes who were all running claims, and everyone there was some assholes there. There was some weird, but it was such a difference, and it was so appreciated by me to be in a environment that was normal, right? Or at least as normal as possible. I was okay with it. But I mean, explaining the day to day, you need to have a schedule. You need to have a schedule. You need to stick to that schedule. and you need to, man, just if you think that it's going to be, there is romanticism and there is a lot of fun to it, or like not a lot of fun, but like a lot of like new to the whole cat deployment thing. But if you think you're gonna go there and it's just gonna be, oh, I'm making a bunch of money, this is gonna be real fucking, you're wrong. It's gonna be hard.
Work. Yeah,
it's hard. It's work. You literally like here, right? Just this one, and this deployment I'm on is not Irma like level type of shit.
Yeah, and this was going to be my next question: is what's that 2017? I think Irma was.
Yep.
Fast forward to this podcast, 2021. So you're about 3-4 years removed, right?
Yep.
And you've gone through a lot. Like, where are you mentally? Like, what's the mental difference now, if there's anything?
I think that framing the question is better, and I probably fucked up answering the first one. But my mental difference between this deployment and the last one is that I have a schedule, and I also am like much more confident in like my work. But I have a very strict schedule I keep while I'm on this road, right? Like this is not Irma level shit, yet I have it to where I'm up at 5 a.m. at least 5 a.m. every day. I have a plan of attack with my claims. My scheduling is scheduling of claims is very strict and like very time oriented. I make sure to like take the time out every day after I'm off the road to look at like my mapping of like where the claims are, so I can utilize the best amount of time while I'm on the road. You know, because to give you an idea of like a breakdown, whoever's listening to this, of like how a deployment works is that they give you a lot of claims. You got to schedule them out immediately. And then you have to get to those claims as soon as possible to do the inspection. Then once you're done with the inspection, you have to submit the report, write the estimate and all that. It's a lot of work.
And then that's when you get paid, after you submit all that.
Yeah. And after you submit it, that's when you get paid. And that's still 2 or 3 weeks. It's a lot of work. You can't fuck around. Like I'm not out. Like there is a lot of like newness and fun, but I don't go out. Like a lot of my friends, a lot of our friends, Jeremy, will like hit me and be like, oh, like, man, that's gotta be cool, dude. You get to like travel and like see a bunch of shit. I'm seeing a bunch of houses that are fucked up, but I'm not seeing anything else.
Yeah, like, that's a big one. Yeah.
I'm not, there's no downtime here. Like we had to wake up. I needed to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to do this podcast, right? Because I need to get the fuck out the door. You too, you as well. We both got to go to work. Like, there's not any fucking around here. There's not fun involved. I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's a good experience. I honestly wouldn't want to have another job, but anyone who's thinking that they're going to go out there and like it's going to be a lot of fun, you're not going to be lasting on that deployment very long. You're not going to make a lot of money.
It's work. You got to go to work. You know, that's what it is. I mean, it's fun. And I totally agree with you. And I've actually, you know, the last deployment that I had, San Antonio, in the last few deployments that I've had, I've really tried to, and I think we've spoken about this, add a little bit of fun in there so you don't, you know, go through that burnout. Because it is, I feel like it's more likely to hit the burnout. It's going to hit you more while you're away from home than it will while you're at home. 100%. Because you're by yourself, especially in your case right now, you're by yourself. You know, and even while I was in San Antonio recently, I really didn't do it that much. You know, I wanted to go to some barbecue places and just experience things. I wanted to go to Austin. I had one day where I walked down the Riverwalk and saw the Alamo. One day over a month, you know, and that was it. So the potential is there, but you know, if you're new, if you're there to make money, you know, you really got to schedule those days in, and good luck getting those days in of having fun without it coming to the expense. Hurricane Irma. Okay. During Irma, I went out a lot during that because we were getting paid so much that I felt like, you know, and I guess some people will argue that rightfully so, like after you make $10,000 for the day, fuck it, go get some drinks. So that's what I would do. And I had more than a few times I had to reschedule my next day because I just was not, you know, I was up at 4 a.m., you know, vomiting in the toilet. And, nice. But over the course of, honestly, over the the amount that weighs you down over the course of the 3 months that I was there, I probably could have made $50,000, $50,000 to $100,000 more compounded over all those days. So you got to ask yourself, how much is it worth going out to downtown Disney and getting shit faced off, $13 beers? Is it worth $50,000? I mean, if I could go back right now and exchange $40,000 for all those nights, as fun as they might have been, I'll take the 40,
Buddy, I can't imagine. And one thing that you had brought up when we were doing Irma, now I've made it very clear. I had a bad drug problem. I wasn't reliable. I wasn't a good worker, yada, yada, yada. But once I got down to Florida and I started getting claims, I didn't go out with you guys at all.
You didn't.
I was just in the house working, right? Here is very similar. I do give myself, I make sure to schedule in self-care. Like every morning I work out, right? Like no matter what I work out. While I'm on the road, I stop to have lunch. While I'm here at the hotel, I make my own dinner and I don't do shit while I eat dinner, right? Right. I do
That's important.
I do these little things for myself. Like I'm not working and eating, right? Like I eat, everything fucking stops. Like this is my dinner time. I don't care who's calling me. I give myself that little downtime, right? But I can't imagine being now. Okay, I'm not new to this, right? I've worked for this company for the past year doing these deployments, and I have everything down to a science schedule of getting the claims in. I can submit a lot, and it's quality work, and I get praised for it, right? But that is all of my time. All of my time is booked out. I cannot imagine if you're new, you coming out here and doing the same amount of work I am while getting shit-faced. I can't imagine doing all that and getting drunk or going out and exploring and experiencing the sights.
Right.
Fuck that, dude. You're here to make money and you need to work and you need to not let all that other bullshit of well, I'm here in Chicago, I should go see fucking the Bean. No. You're go to work. So I can't imagine being in that position.
Right. Get to fucking work, people. I think we're going to wrap it up with that, man. That's what it's all about, going on deployments, man. I mean, I always say it, because, I've got my girls, I've got my family, man. If I'm going out, if I'm going to step away and not see, not be home, not see my family, I'm not there for vacation. I'll take them on vacation.
Yep.
If I'm away, I'm there to bust heads. That's it. I don't care about anything else. Factor in the self-care because that's very important and things like that, and taking a break. Sure. But, I've come a long way. But so we'll wrap it up with that. And guys, if you guys want to learn more about the independent adjusting thing, definitely follow us.
Or a weed farm, whatever you guys are into.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. Head on over to adjusteruniversity.com. Check out everything. See what promotions we got going on. Whether you're an adjuster or thinking about getting into it, whatever the case is, go check it out. Follow us on Instagram. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. You got anything else, Chris?
If you would like to follow me while I'm on deployment, you can check me out at Lose the Jelly. And if you are an artist at all and you know how to put a Nike symbol on the side of a set of cougar paws, hit me up.
That'd be badass. All right, guys, big kiss. I'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.